Hi, welcome to the first episode of The Unspoken. The Unspoken is a space that allows spiritual practitioners to speak freely about things that we don't usually talk about, um, things that we avoid to talk about, things that we think is controversial to talk about, the fear, and also some things that we are unsure how to talk about. Yeah. And the intention of this channel is to shine lights onto these gray areas so that our practice could be more honest and to find more clarity on things that are gray and that we usually don't speak of.
Yeah, for sure.
And today, I'm so grateful to have Jeffrey Oliver, be my guest for our first episode. I'm not sure how am I going to top that out, like in the future episode.
There are a lot more amazing people in the world. I'm sure you can find some. Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to let Jeffrey Oliver to introduce himself and talk about a little bit of his background.
Okay, so I'm from Australia, and you may know by my accent. I spend a lot of time in nature in Australia, and being in nature, especially being alone in nature, you're not talking to someone or being, let's say, distracted by other people. And so, in a way, you start to communicate with nature. And I also started to just sit silently and just be very silent in nature. And I thought, I think I'm meditating. So then I went looking for a meditation teacher, and the first main teacher that I found was a Vipassana meditation teacher. He was a Buddhist monk in Thailand for about 6 years and then had become a freelance meditation teacher. And I really loved what he did. And when he gave talks and when he was teaching, he was answering so many questions that I didn't even know that I had, So there was a lot of like, oh wow, oh okay, oh yeah, oh right, of course, like So yeah, and that gave me direction in my life. Then I decided I'm going to go and become a Buddhist monk, and I'm going to, and then I would love to teach it also. So pretty much on that retreat, I decided I was going to become a monk, and that was my first retreat. So it was pretty impactful, yeah. And that's what I did. I went to Myanmar. I chose Myanmar because I knew it was a Buddhist country. I had traveled there as a tourist. I knew it was a Buddhist country, and I knew that Vipassana meditation was coming from Myanmar. So it was like kind of like a no-brainer. And I loved Myanmar when I was there. So I thought, yep, go to Myanmar, become a Buddhist monk, and take it from there. So that was my actually it was a bit of a fast track. I mean, it probably unfolded over 6 or 8 months, but and I'd done maybe 7 or 8 retreats in Australia. Once I'd done the first retreat, I got the bug, and then I did many retreats, and I met my teacher from Myanmar, and then he said, come to my monastery. So it kind of went boom, 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 and there I was, became a Buddhist monk.
And how old were you at the time?
28 when I first started meditating, and 29 when I became a monk.
Incredible.
Yeah, yeah. And especially at that time, I mean, rewind, that's 30 plus years ago. And in Australia, people really didn't know about Buddhism, didn't know much about meditation. So I didn't know anyone who had ever been a Buddhist monk. So it wasn't like I met someone and was then inspired by them. So yeah, it was for me. It was a little bit of groundbreaking, trailblazing, pioneering.
Definitely.
Yeah, and it's funny because most of my life I never knew what I really wanted to do. I couldn't, I didn't have a career. I would do this job, I would do that job and whatever, but I didn't really find what I wanted until I found this, and it was like I hit the highway and just went, that's it, I'm going, and I just, yeah.
90 miles per hour.
Yeah,
like,
it was,
just go straight on.
yeah, yeah.
And when looking back at the time, when you say you were going into the nature, sit and be still, and you met your teacher, and at that time, at that point, were you so-called soul searching, and that's why you go be with the nature so much?
I don't think so. It wasn't intentional. I maybe I was, but as I said, it wasn't intentional that I was going to nature because I didn't like people or because I felt like I was trying to find God or anything like that. I just loved nature, and I was just it just felt good to be in pure nature, away from everybody else. So yeah, really, I was just following my heart, and I think that's also a beautiful thing for people to take note, is that when you really do follow your heart, I think amazing things happen. It just keeps opening up and opening up. So it's one of the first things I ask people when they come to retreat. I ask, why did you come to retreat? Why do you want to meditate? And what are you looking for? Because some people are soul searching. Some people are asking and saying, well, why am I here? What's my purpose in life? Like, what's the meaning of all this? Some people just come because they're curious, or some people are sent by their mother. It's like, go and meditate, or, their partner says, well, why don't you go for retreat, darling? It will do you good. So some people come, well, actually, everybody comes for different reasons. And some people really are, looking for the meaning of life and searching for the truth. And then others are maybe just dabbling or something. For myself, when I was a monk, most people asked me, why did you become a monk? Because they could kind of see, well, you look like a normal kind of guy. There's nothing wrong with you, and you look all right. So, why did you become a monk? Because a lot of people would think that you're becoming a monk because of some trauma that happened, or you're running away from society, or you're highly religious or something like that. And for myself, I didn't have those things at the time. I was just, I felt really happy with my life. And so I actually asked myself as a thought process, I said, okay, if you're happy, then what's next? Like, after you're happy, then what? So it seems in the world that people are looking for happiness.
True.
Okay, so all over the world, people are looking for happiness. But then what happens when you become happy? Like, what's next? So I think for a lot of people, happiness means money, or it means having possessions, or it might mean security. But when you're genuinely happy, and it may not be necessarily secure or money or, having a lot of possessions or having all the things that you want, but more just a sense of contentment, then, okay, where do I go from here? So I think that then leads you to a spiritual path, because a lot of what we are brought up on and what we live on and live in is materiality and about money and possessions, etc. So when you get those, and I didn't have those, but I think I had the good karma and maybe some insight that allowed me to see, well, actually, what are we chasing? And if I'm happy already, then then is there a deeper happiness, or is there another element to happiness that maybe we can find? And I think now, upon reflection, it's actually peace more so than happiness, because we can feel happy with a nice cup of tea, or even a
Right.
tea set, or in a place with a beautiful view or something, or
Or being here, sitting here, having a conversation with you.
Correct.
Yeah.
So in good company, etc., you can feel happy. But there is something deeper than that, and it's a sense of peace. And that peace is actually always present. And that's what we access through meditation. And especially when wisdom arises, we start to understand that chasing all those little things that made me happy in the past, we realize that they're kind of, they're like popping bubbles. They come up and you go, oh, wow. When you see bubbles like from detergent, they
Right.
make those bubbles and you blow bubbles, and they're got rainbows through it, and you can see reflections, and they're all kind of wobbly and such, and they're really cool, and you go, wow, and then it goes pop, and you go,
Yeah.
oh, okay, make another one, make a bigger one, make more. So
and then you forget about it.
and that's right, and it kind of slides into the past, but we keep trying to chase and get and make and have and try to keep and such. So this is it's like a never-ending cycle of just chasing stuff.
Yeah.
I think when we feel contentment, we feel gratitude, we feel more grounded, and life is more simple. I think we start to feel that sense of peace, and that sense of peace is more deeply connected, I would say, to consciousness and to our true nature, and that then is a spiritual experience, which we all have. We all have access to it, and spiritual doesn't have to mean religious.
Absolutely.
In the past, religions were formed around someone who had a spiritual experience, and then
being taught by that.
Yeah, and then they say, oh, this is the guru, this is the master, this is the saint or whoever. Then we have to do what they do, and then sometimes that person will play that role of saying, oh yes, now you have to wear these clothes, and you have to do these practices, and you have to, if you're going to follow me, or if you're going to be true to God, then you have to look like this, you have to speak like that, and therefore control and whatever. Is that really spirituality? Maybe it's something in that person, that prophet or that great person, that's how they found it. But actually every human being has their own spiritual nature. So sometimes we don't have to do those practices or be in those places or go to temples or something. And that comes back to what started my path, was just being alone in nature. And I think that in itself can be deeply spiritual. People who dive down into the sea, go deep diving or even free diving or even diving into the sea. I think they can also start to have a more spiritual connection, especially if they do it alone. When you're with other people, you're kind of like hey, look at this, this is really cool, or if you're going with cameras and all that sort of stuff. But when you really go by yourself and you start to really trust the environment, and you know that it's natural, and there is no, say, human, I was going to say contamination, but I mean corruption.
Right. There's no communication being outwardly projected, and your whole experience is just very much yourself, and you are really embodying the experience with you and yourself and the nature, and I am going to jump. And I am feeling the water, the splash, the depth, right? So that's the deeper peace, the joy.
Yeah, and that can be also a spiritual connection. Even, climbing mountains or, doing really beautiful natural things can give you But again, I think when you do it alone, you're not being coerced or, brought out of that by somebody else's opinion or their comments or their
Right.
ideas about what is happening. You're just in your own experience. And I felt that in some way, and it's only upon reflection, I didn't know it at the time, but it's as if the nature was talking to me and I was communicating with the nature, but simply by being there, being innocent, being present, it has this beautiful impact on us. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you first started your monastic life, you were 29, and what are the challenges? Like, within the daily practice, within the struggling of the mind. Um,
Well, it wasn't difficult for me to be a monk, I feel, because I really wanted to be there and I really wanted to do it. It would be completely different if your mother said, now you're going to go and become a monk. You're like, oh, really? So, you would have resistance. But I didn't have resistance to the process because I myself had decided that that's what I wanted to do. So a monk's life is very, let's say, restricted. You're living in the monastery. You're not going outside. You're not sort of doing things for fun. Our monastery was a meditation monastery, so pretty much we were practicing meditation all day long. So there wasn't like a fun period or games period or go and watch television period or something like that. It was you were practicing basically from the time you woke up till the time you went to bed. And one of the things about the teaching that I received, and it comes from the teaching of the Buddha and it comes through in Vipassana meditation, is that mindfulness becomes a part of everything that you do. You start applying to mindfulness to drinking tea, mindfulness to dressing or washing or going to the toilet, and when you're cleaning things or walking downstairs, walking upstairs. So
or action.
everything that you do as much as possible when you're eating food. And in our practice, we also slow down. So we start to really feel the experience of reaching and the touching, the amount of pressure that your fingers need, the texture of the cup, the heat, the heaviness, the lifting, the movement, the muscles, the anticipation of what this is going to taste like, or even just stopping and just purely smelling the tea and then sipping and tasting the tea. I'll stop talking. Noticing how the mind reacts, how the body responds to the tea, the taste, and that in itself is actually a very holistic practice. You're using your senses, your body's moving, you're smelling, you're tasting, you're seeing. So, and of course, hearing the sounds around. So, all of your senses are very present. And if you really just drink tea with a sense of mindfulness, it can really be a meditation within itself. It's not that we have to go over there and sit cross-legged and pretend to meditate. And I know this was one of your points that you wanted to make. When we bring mindfulness into activities and things that we do, it starts to feel more authentic. Life becomes more authentic. Even if we play the bowl, and especially if you want to make the bowl sing, then you really need to be present with that. So
Absolutely.
it's
Yes.
also a form of meditation. But if you're doing that and thinking, ha ha ha, I've got this now, I'm doing this really cool, people are really going to love me for this and whatever, well, this is obviously corrupted. But when you play it at home by yourself, without any audience, without any expectations, without any past or future, and just simply playing the bowl, then you can really be in the movement of playing the bowl. The sound itself has its own like healing frequency, and yes, you can be really present with that experience. And although it may not be technically or purely meditation, it can become meditation when there's an absence of thought but a full presence of being and a full presence of experience. That's a definition of meditation. And it's a bit like I was saying, that when you go to nature and you become fully present in nature, that can become a spiritual experience. So playing the bowl there can become actually a spiritual experience in the absence of thought, in the absence of past and future, in the absence of, let's say, ego or pride or the desire for validation or something.
Result driven. Yeah.
Exactly, result driven. Then that becomes actually a spiritual experience. Pouring tea, drinking tea can become a spiritual experience. But then so can everything else as much as possible if you are willing to be really present.
Yeah, so talking about meditation and being present, like you just mentioned, meditation can be any form, at any form. It doesn't have to be like sitting cross-legged for 30 hours a day. I mean, more. So, I like that's what I really appreciate. The other day, at your talk last Thursday, uh, you mentioned something that I forget what was the context because I was so struck by what you said and I was totally out of it. And I just remember you said pretending to be meditating for hours.
Yeah.
And can we extend on that conversation and talk more about it?
Yeah, sure. There is a sense of that kind of common term that we use, like fake it till you make it, which means that you may be trying to meditate. Is more what we should say that we are doing is trying to meditate. We are attempting to meditate, and we say we are practicing meditation, but we don't really use the term I am perfecting meditation, or I have perfected the meditation, especially in Vipassana, because Vipassana is fundamentally mindfulness meditation, and mindfulness is really just monitoring what is happening now. We are witnessing, we are observing, we are being present with whatever experience is becoming predominant in the present moment. So in this way, it is constantly changing. That means you can't perfect anything. It's not like, oh, I became the perfect observer of things. I can observe perfectly. Yes, you can be present, perhaps without thought. You can be aware of any thoughts that come and go. You may be aware of any emotions that come and go through your mind. You may be aware of your sensations in the body and senses, any of your senses that come and go. But in normal, not normal meditation, but in concentration meditation, which most people think is meditation, where you take one object and you try to focus your mind on that object, like the in and out breath, for example, or chanting a mantra, or doing some particular task or something that makes you concentrate, and then you empty your mind and you don't have any thoughts and you go into deeper states. That's what people generally think is meditation. But Vipassana meditation is an active living meditation. It's mindfulness. So I don't have to focus on any one thing. I can I can be present with this experience, or I can even be aware of the in-breath and the out-breath, and I may start to concentrate, but it's not the purpose of Vipassana meditation. So we are evolving and changing, and we are living life, and the purpose of Vipassana is to gain insight. So it's also called insight meditation. And insight is like a flash of wisdom, and many flashes of wisdom then creates greater wisdom. So it's actually wisdom meditation. And in your daily life, it's not so much I must be mindful, mindful, I must be aware, I must be aware, because then people feel guilty when they're not aware. It, we need to apply wisdom. So when you get insight, it should be reapplied to your life, your daily life. And like if you understand, you start to get an insight that, yeah, things are changing, like everything's changing. My senses are changing, my thoughts are changing, my body is changing, my emotions. And really when I observe nature and people, everything is changing. And then when you reapply that to your own experience in everything in life, that insight actually gives you more and more insight. So, yes, there's mindfulness, but we don't have to be just stuck and focused on, "Oh, I have to be mindful, I have to be mindful," because a lot of people do this. So they're trying to be perfectly mindful, or this perfectionism comes into the meditation. Oh, I have to be a perfect meditator. I have to sit still and have no thoughts for half an hour or 1 hour. Well, you can try and do that, but in Vipassana, that's not the purpose. So in Vipassana, thoughts will come and go. So actually, there's a lot of thinking that we do in Vipassana. And if you're on retreat, it's almost like a thinking retreat. You do a lot of thinking. So that's why I also said that, we're sitting down to meditate, but how much time do we really spend in a state of pure meditation? And that would be the mind that is really, really purely with anything. And that could be the breath, like breathing in without a thought, breathing out without a thought, or um, feeling any sensation in the body, or even listening or hearing sounds without thinking about that. So the mind starts to become pure. There's a purification of mind that happens when we are really present with any experience. And it could be, like I said, something simple like taking a drink of tea or taking tea, but you are really present with that movement. And you can do this without thinking. And then it really becomes a very pure experience. But everything's changing, everything's dynamic. It's not I have to sit still um, and meditate.
Being in the form.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when we do that, quite often we are pretending to meditate. And I was very good at it, to be honest. I was a great performer in meditation. I could sit for many hours.
And still look good, you said.
Huh? And I look good. I look great. I was fantastic. I was one of the best. um, so actually, often we are meditating with our ego, which also means meditating with perfectionism. We want to look good. We want to get perfect states of meditation. We want to fulfill our teacher's instructions. We want to then be able to go back to the teacher and say, "See, I did it. Like, how good am I?" And we get a little, "Oh, you're such a good yogi," and whatever, and you get, I don't know.
Recognition by
Yes.
The teacher or other fellow practitioners.
Yeah.
And what you just shared was really powerful insight, and pretending meditation is redundant.
It's not redundant in the sense that it doesn't create results. It can create results because in the process of pretending to meditate, we still get some insights and such. So often, so I did say to my teacher once, I said, like, um, it takes like 2 or 3 days, and this is on a long retreat. And 2 or 3 days I'm meditating. But really, every now and again I'll just find a little gem, I'll find something in my mind will just go, ah, wow, that's it. So, but I kind of gave the analogy like I feel like I'm digging in a mountain with a teaspoon. I'm going like this, which means I'm having a lot of thoughts. I'm doing a lot of things that are not really what would be called meditation. But every now and again, and sometimes when we least expect it, and that's the tip, is when you don't have expectation, often that's when you fall into the meditation. And it's not so much forcing yourself to meditate and I'm gonna meditate and I'm gonna get this and I'm gonna achieve that result driven, which is how we lived our life. But when we are able to really just take a step back and allow ourselves to relax and even surrender, then sometimes we drop into meditation. And that is a pure state of being. And sometimes it's just for a couple of moments. But within those moments, they almost seem timeless because you've stepped out of your concepts of past and future and time and getting something or getting rid of something. You actually fall into this pure state. And sometimes it can last longer, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, maybe even a minute or a few minutes where you feel that you're in a really pure state. But what happens is the yogi then thinks, I made this happen. I created,
So they're watching the mind. When they're starting to have some result, they're watching their mind and watching their success, and it become a thing.
Yeah,
become in the system.
Yeah, the ego grabs hold of it and gets proud and says, "Look what I created! Look what I made!" But actually, it's more a point of when they usually have that experience when they surrender, when they stop trying, when they stop forcing, when they let go of expectations. They actually tend to drop into the pure state of meditation. You can force yourself to meditate, and a lot of people do that, but I don't see that that's necessary. And especially in Vipassana, we can do more the opposite, and that is surrender, relax, and allow things to be exactly as they are. So when we drop the control, when we drop manipulation and the corruption of the mind, and we say, let me just experience this as it is, which is the meaning of Vipassana, is to see things as they really are. When we allow ourselves to do that, it becomes a far more beautiful and pure experience.
I was just have this question that so the next time when a meditation teacher tell me to sit in a meditation position, I can just tell them I would rather do something on like a mindful like basis than just sitting. Am I allowed to do that?
You can, but it won't make the meditation teacher happy.
What if I come to your meditation retreat and when you are scheduling us from 6 a.m. to like 11 a.m. for meditation, and I'm like, free. I think I might have more insight feeling my bed. Then it's not the right thing.
No, it's not. When a teacher is giving you a program, they are giving you something that they have themselves experienced. I hope they have already experienced and understand through their experience what they're offering you, but they have also practiced it with many people. And when they get the feedback from many people, they understand this is a good formula, this works. So when a meditation teacher says, let's try and sit for half an hour without moving and we're going to be aware of whatever is happening spatially around us, within the body, within the mind, then you should take that advice, because the teacher in some way knows generally what is good for everyone. But also, if you're practicing in a group, then for group harmony, we all do the same thing at the same time.
Right.
But then you'll have plenty of opportunity for, in the free time, for you to do your tea drinking meditation, your, going to the toilet meditation, and your, whatever meditation.
Whatever insights I can find from doing whatever action.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
yeah, I definitely wouldn't suggest to, if the teacher says, let's do this, and then you say, oh, I don't want to do that, I want to do this, I wouldn't do that. And there's a certain sense of when you're with a teacher, and I would say, especially when you're with a master like my master, out of respect, we do what they recommend, but there's a certain sense of letting go of your own agenda, letting go of your own program, and just surrendering and saying, I've come to this teacher because this teacher knows what they're doing, they have a good reputation, and let me just do what they say. Just put aside your own egoistic wantings and desires, or your normal program or your normal meditation. Just let everything go and just say, all right, I'm here for X amount of time, which could be 1 day, 1 week, or a month or whatever, and just say, all right, whatever they say, I'm just going to do it, and I'll just surrender. And you will find that you will have a much deeper and better experience by doing that. Instead of, sometimes we're resisting, and especially when we're Western minded and we come to, say, an Asian format. So I did this when I came to Myanmar a little bit. I was kind of like, why are they doing it like that? Like, we should be doing it like this. But at least I had enough insight and respect to be able to to just say, all right, just go with the flow, just do what they're doing. And when you do that, you'll have a much greater experience than trying to change, control, manipulate the system, kind of rocking the boat, and thinking that you know better, when that's not your point for being there. Your point is to take a step back, to listen, be respectful, to surrender, and then you will find yourself in a place that you didn't expect. Yeah.
Yeah, and just now you mentioned some long-term practitioner or some yogi have achieved what they want, that has had a glimpse of that blissfulness for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and they're very proud of that, and they have great insights. They have great sense of achievement. Have you had students like that before, and they think that they are there, and they start challenging, they start asking challenging question or challenge your authority, or have you had that?
Yes, I have. It's I won't say it's common, but usually on one retreat with, say, 20 people, you're going to get 1, 2, or 3 people that either think they know more than you, or their practice that they do is better than yours, or something like that. And of course, we accommodate them and try to help them to understand themselves. But as I said, when you're on retreat and there's a group harmony, even in a workshop, there's a group harmony. The presenter, the facilitator, the leader is creating a space for everyone to learn. So we should come with an open mind as much as we can, an empty vessel, and just receive, listen, practice, and it then creates a harmonious experience.
Like, were they hard to handle? Do you have to handle them in person, like, or you have assistants?
No. I'm
So
the one.
how would you do that?
You really have to talk through it. Sometimes, if they are not disturbing the group, I just kind of let them be. And well, my understanding from leading retreats is that people get what they get, you know,
Yeah.
and whether they are open-minded or not, they're going to get what they get. But the best way to get the most from the practice and the experience will be to surrender to the experience. So
Right.
when people are being um, haughty, which is an interesting word, not naughty, but haughty, kind of meaning like a little bit arrogant, a little bit indignant, like they know better, or they think they're better than you or something. Again, sometimes I just let them be. I let them have their opinion. I let them have their authority or whatever. But I do encourage them to stay with this practice um, and to open up and see what this practice has to offer, rather than thinking that their way is better or that they already understand. It's a little bit difficult to navigate and to be soft, because if you then if you put on your authoritarian cap and you start to say, no, you're on my retreat, you have to do this or you have to do that, then
Backfire.
then they can also start to it can make it worse. But and sometimes even when you're being soft and encouraging, sometimes people still think that you're trying to push them or coerce them or something, and sometimes they leave the retreat, and actually it's good. To be honest. So I'm not sharing in order to push or force or make anybody do anything. I'm simply offering, and I've got nothing for sale, I'm not selling anything, and my retreats are by donation. So, and that's one of the reasons why retreats are by donation, because if you don't like the retreat, you don't have to pay. Actually, I don't want money from people who don't like what I do and what they experience. So to me, it's kind of like they're giving me money because they feel obliged to give me money. So
right, and if they give X amount, they expect X amount of
Correct.
value or quality or X amount of expectation
Correct.
according to them.
If you had to pay, $1,000 for your retreat, then it's kind of like, well, okay,
It gotta be 5-star, man.
Where's my value? Just these guys telling me what to do. It's like, I want this, I want that. But if the retreat is the cost of the retreat, the accommodation and the food, okay, we all have to pay for that. But the teaching itself, and that's my side, the teaching is by donation. So,
and that's how you usually curate the
always. For the last 20 plus years since I stopped being a monk, I don't charge for any of my teachings. It's always by donation.
Okay, there are 2 questions. One is, when you stop being a monk, at that point, what was that a tipping point, or was that a realization that makes you make that decision that come out to be a layperson?
Do you mean, why did I disrobe? Yes.
In a very gentle way.
Right. So I disrobed because I have a few different reasons, and sometimes I give different reasons for different people who ask the question. Because people ask these questions because they themselves are looking for something. And I learnt this when I was a monk. Many people asked me, why did you become a monk? And I started to somehow intuit why you're asking me this question. And people often were asking the question because they were asking themselves, would I become a monk? Or in the case of a woman, would I become a nun? So they're kind of asking you, why did you become a monk? So maybe I could also become a monk.
Right.
So then I would give answers a little bit more inclined to the maybe the deeper reasons. So I'll answer that question first, and then I'll come to your question. So I became a monk because I wanted to go into the heart of the teachings. I wanted to, instead of just doing retreats, I wanted to become a monk and actually live the teachings. So that was really the reason I became a monk. Also, I wanted to become a monk because I wanted to become a better person. I wanted to become someone that people would really trust and respect, but not as in a forced respect, but in a natural respect. So, and that also is connected to the sense of trust. Someone that you can believe and someone that you can have faith in. So that was why I became a monk, to go deeper into the teachings and to have that, let's say, solitude or that deeper connection with the teachings. Then, why did I disrobe? I disrobed um, to actually, it's more like an experiment to come to the world without the restrictions of being a monk. And when you're a monk, you are wearing robes and you look like a monk. And so people just assume that you're an authority on Buddhism, that you know everything about Buddhism, or that you're some, highly attained master or something like that. So people had a lot of these preconceptions just because you're wearing robes. So, and also people act differently when they see you as a monk. There are certain questions they won't ask, which is also the point of your podcast here. People won't ask monk, controversial questions or
Right.
things
Absolutely.
like that. So, and even now, people still see me as a guru or, spiritual teacher. And it's like, oh, maybe we shouldn't talk about this and we shouldn't talk about that. Well, personally, I don't mind because we're humans and we talk about life. So it's okay to open up about that. Whether I tell you my deep, darkest secrets or my very deep experiences in meditation or not is up to the circumstance and up to even the audience. But I, so part of my reason for disrobing was to just be normal, to be accessible for people to come to me and not think. And people used to say to me, "Oh, it's okay for you. You're a monk, but I'm a mother and have
I'm a normal people living
yeah
a normal life with
yeah
normal challenges.
I'm a businessman or I'm a mother or I'm a student
the
and
responsibility.
so you can practice this meditation in your life because you've got lots of time and you've got quiet places to practice." And I'm like, yeah, but that's not what I'm teaching you. I'm teaching you how to practice in your daily life. But they kind of didn't get it. So when I take off the uniform and I just be an ordinary guy, I say, look, I'm doing this the same as you. So if I can practice in daily life, you can also practice in daily life. So this is also making the transmission of this teaching a little more
Humanized,
yeah,
normalized.
correct, a little more approachable.
Would you say it's more challenging coming back to teach as a layperson than teaching with a uniform?
Well, you already have that authority as a monk, and people don't often challenge it, except maybe some cultures are a little more assertive in challenging authority. In Asia, people are a lot more accepting of authority, especially as a religious authority. And if I'm Buddhist and I see a Buddhist monk, I'm already deferential and have veneration. Yeah. So, but Westerners, for example, even highly educated people, they have no idea why you're wearing these robes or why you shave your head or what you're doing. So, and their job in life is to challenge and to ask questions. So that's I'm okay with that now. When I was a monk, it was a little bit confronting or a little bit like kind of take a step back because it's like, oh wow, people never really ask me these questions because I'm a monk. But then when I became a layman and I started teaching, then people would definitely challenge me. And so I started to have to be open that people will challenge me and even people will even completely reject what I say and what I do. And I also have to be really open to that and say, well, no worries, that's what you think and that's what you believe, and this is what I think and what I believe. So, you're fine where you are and I'm fine where I am.
You
so,
do you.
yes,
I
absolutely.
do me.
So this is, and this is also more of where I'm at the moment, which is I feel a lot more comfortable within myself and able to talk to, even greater audiences and such. So, yeah.
Right. Let's take a pause.
Yeah, because it's a bit too bright, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think the day itself became brighter. Welcome back.
Oh, you can be a really great host.
Yeah.
So right after you disrobe, immediately you come back to teach as a teacher,
Yes. Yes.
and there was
Yeah.
no glimpse in your mind that, oh, I want to probably go back to a regular life, get rich and get a job or anything,
No.
or have a family, or
No. I really just wanted to be a teacher, and that's what I've been doing. So it's really beautiful that I I found my path in life, and I'm really comfortable with what I do, and I love what I do, and yeah, and it's really helpful and meaningful for people. So
it does.
yeah,
It does.
yeah,
And you have no idea how incredible this experience with me right now, being
yeah.
able
Wow.
to talk with you, speak with you
Yeah, beautiful.
on a personal level,
Yeah,
and yeah.
beautiful. I'm really happy.
And remember you said when you first tapped into meditation and you found this teacher and you basically just like went right into the path and directional, what you want in life.
Yeah,
I had a moment like that.
yeah.
Um, I grew up with Theravadan Buddhism.
Oh, you did.
My uncle and aunt, they are practicing. They are still practicing. So when, as far as I remember, I think when I was 10, 12, like my aunt would constantly teach me about Dharma.
Wow.
And my uncle would do the same thing wherever we're in the car, taking us to a meal or anything.
Mm.
We're constantly, I was exposed to the theory and books, the teaching, and I was strongly attracted to it.
Beautiful.
And there was a point where, when I was in New York, and life got hard,
Mm-hmm.
and um, being with the practice, studying the mind, became harder for me.
Yeah.
And then I found Jesus.
Mm.
Is another form of surrendering.
Yeah.
And that's where I felt everything is going to be okay. Like you just said, the pure bliss of being in meditation where you just surrender and let yourself go.
Mm.
At that moment, I found that bliss with um, Christianity.
Yeah.
I was just believing in God and Jesus, not so much of going to church and doing the ritual work or reading the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
And until last 2 weeks, I went back to this space that in PJ that someone donated the house to host monks and Dharma talk and Dharma.
Mm.
It's kind of like this house, and we were doing a dana to a monk, Sujiwa, and as soon as the dana start with the tree refuge
Mm.
chanting, I broke down in tears,
Yeah, beautiful.
and it was like, oh my God, coming back home.
Stop it! You're making me cry.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
It
I should say continue. You're making me cry too.
it was very emotional for me.
Yeah.
That I know this is the only truth, to find the truth,
Yeah.
to find peace.
Yeah.
And I've turned round and around
Yeah.
into doing other work, you know. But then with all the other modalities that I learned along the way, I found a bridge that connects everything together.
Beautiful.
And now I am back here with you.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a very profound experience for me personally, and yeah, it's been priceless, like really amazing.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Hmm.
I'm happy to be part of it.
Yeah, and so before we go to the end of the session, is there anything else that you feel right at this moment that you haven't yet spoke about?
Oh, there are thousands of things that I haven't spoken about. In fact, it's unlimited.
Um, okay, so should we actually have like a series that we make just for free? Jeffrey or
Yes,
Oliver
yes.
is that is for your teaching, your experience, and for a room for me to ask the gray areas so I can have better insights and more clarity practicing.
Sure, why not? Yeah, of course.
That's so great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for sticking around throughout the whole session and listen to the whole session with an open heart and open mind. I am so grateful for that, for your time. Should we end with a meta blessing or something?
Yeah, we can if you like. Do you want to?
Yeah,
Play
I
the
can
bow.
play the bow. And should I say the meta blessing, or would you like to do the blessing?
I can listen to yours if you have one.
Mine is a very simple one that I do mostly every day.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
If you want to share it, you can.
Okay. So let's take a brief moment to quiet down our mind and listen to the vibration of this bow. you be blessed. May you be safe. May you be healthy. And may your practice be kind and compassionate. Namaste.
Namaste.
Oh, it should be sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Thank you, free.
Mhm.
So, catch us on the future episode. It's going to be more episode with free. Yeah, and if you do have any conversation that you would like to bring to this channel, or if you have anything about spirituality that you are unsure how to talk about, or that you feel controversial to talk about, please get in touch with me to be on this channel. All my links and contact will be in the page. Thank you.